So, you just got your Quest 3 headset and you're diving into the virtual reality world for the first time. But you don't know where to start. It's also overwhelming and daunting. In this video, I want to show you how I started my virtual reality journey. I have used virtual reality since the launch of the Oculus Quest 2. I was like, what? I can move in that virtual world and I can grab things and I can change my hands and I can wear armor and wield swords and shields and cast fireballs and oh man, yeah. Can you imagine, like, when you were a kid that you always wanted to do this and now we can? So I talked a lot. Let's just dive into the video. The first app that I recommend you play is the game called First Steps. So First Steps was originally made for the Quest 2 headset. And this is a very neat little game / tutorial where they show you the core functionality of the MetaQuest headset by using your touch controllers, interacting with objects. So for example, they show you how you can use the sensors on your controllers right here. When you place your finger on the trigger, for example, and lift it, you can see in game that your finger is actually lifting up and pointing. They also have sensors on the buttons itself, so it knows when you are hovering over the button. It shows you the button layout, but there's also the interactive stuff where you can actually pick up objects like blocks, or you can shoot rockets by pulling the string and then just letting it go. Or you have a Zeppelin that you can control with your controller. It's a bit like Inception. You have a controller in game which you're controlling, and then you have a cartridge that you can insert, so you will be transitioned into another realm where you can dance with a robot friend and you can just give a show together, dance along, you can spin him around, like really cool stuff. You have a second cartridge where you can go to a shooting range where you can pick between, I think, 3 futuristic weapons that you can like pull apart and stuff and shoot targets and break your score. So a very neat game where you can just learn the basics of the controllers, of the interactability, and really giving you a feeling of what is possible in virtual reality. So I highly recommend you try that game out first before we dive into the next ones, because these are really exciting also. Now, assuming you got the Quest 3 with its AR capabilities, the next app will actually bring your real world and the virtual world into view. So I'm talking about the First Encounters game, which is a neat little app straight from your room where spaceships seem to break through your ceiling and land on your furniture. This game is all about capturing little critters, so in some way it reminds me of the First Steps, the shooting range game that you can play, but this time it's in your room or in your bedroom or in your kitchen or somewhere else, where you are capturing little critters and upping your score. So these little critters will actually break through your wall and they will reveal the alien-like environment around you. The game also shows how objects interact with furniture by, for example, landing on your couch or on your bed, or maybe even the critters that are hiding behind your desk. I recommend when you're playing this game to keep your room well lit, because when it's dark, I've seen it myself, it becomes quite grainy. That can affect the experience or maybe even the quest tracking itself. So all in all, this game is amazing to introduce yourself to the augmented reality capabilities of the Quest 3, all while having some great fun and maybe trying to break your score. It's great, try it out, but the next one is actually going to bring both of these together and will eliminate the use of your controllers. So the next game that I want to discuss with you is a game that is also preloaded by Meta onto your Quest 3, which is called First Hand. And what makes this game so special is it actually brings all of the things that we have discussed before together. So you have a total mixed reality experience right then and there. It brings your controllers, It brings hand tracking. You discover this by doing a couple of mini games. You have to assemble a robot. You can use your hands or your controllers for that. You have to help a robot in order to repair some kind of a system. You learn how to use your hands only by pinching and by turning, snap turning, only by doing certain motions. You have to gather certain items by going onto platforms and just walking around. And even just pulling levers, pressing buttons with your own hands, it's really satisfying. I mean, the controllers have their own interesting part, but something about using your hands and just, you know, pressing the buttons and just pulling levers just makes it so immersive. I really love that aspect. But I must say, this is the game that has one of the most solid hand tracking that I have ever seen until now. I definitely recommend you try this one out because it just gives you the whole experience and really gets you on par with using everything combined to have the most immersive and best experience within virtual reality or augmented reality in this case. So now you have an understanding of how the MetaQuest 3 works, how the buttons and the controls and all that stuff works. I recommend you check out the following video where I will discuss the next best free games that you can acquire on the MetaQuest store and have a lot more fun than what we just discussed.